but there's going to be some shakeups to the industry, especially shakeups to the amount of real estate agents and the amount of lenders that are going to be in the game. So you can either become some of the top 5% in the industry. And just so you know, this is the only place where money's at. There's no money at the bottom. There's very, very little in the middle. But if you can be in the top 5%, what you will do for your career, what you will do for your family, what you will do for your own personal wealth, and what you will do for your clients will far exceed anything that you're doing right now. But that requires you to take this identity that you're the guy or that you're the girl, own it. But it all starts with your ability to create irrefutable evidence for yourself. Welcome back to the Be the Standard podcast. For those of you who are new here, my name is Sergio Nazario. I'm an owner of 8Z Real Estate out here in Denver, Colorado, and I'm a top 1% of real estate agents in the country. This entire podcast is about the coaching movement that I've launched to help real estate agents and mortgage lenders build a business that makes $500,000 a year or more, all by solving the 4 major problems that I faced in this industry, which is simply the identity around your personal brand and being able to own that. Number 2, this idea that marketing is a science. The third one is being a closer is not something that you do, it's who you are. And lastly, it's all wrapped up in this container of leadership, leading yourself, leading your clients, and leading your teams. I was sitting here in a place this morning after my workout, which got pushed back because my son was up all night, our little 3-month-old son. He didn't sleep at all, and so my whole morning routine got messed up. And so I went to the gym a little bit later today, went at 5:30, and when I was at the gym, this thought kept popping up into my mind. For a while there, I was teaching a 4-day training course at my brokerage called Academy. And at Academy, we help basically initiate and give all of the new agents into our company the tools, the processes, the systems that they need in order to be successful. And you would watch as we would have 20 to 30 people come through every quarter, and you would see maybe 5 rise to the top and just completely just take off, become $10 million producers over the next 12 months, make more money than they've ever made in their life. And not only just do that, but you would watch them go on to become 20, 30, $35 million producers. And then you would have this other group of people. You'd have this other group of individuals who got the same information, the same content, have the same access to all of the things that those top 5 did, and they would do something completely different. Half of them would wash out and they would either go to another brokerage or they would get out of the industry. Another 25% of them would be somewhere in the middle. They would barely meet minimum standards, but they would just be close enough to stay. And honestly, they were just operating kind of like real estate was a hobby. And then you would have the other 25% that were just like a slow burn. And they were the ones who would eventually start to really plug in and start to figure out who they are. And what they were able to reveal that piece of them, what happened for them was this slow burn turned into an overnight success. But I'm sitting here thinking, how can one agent with the same information have completely different results than somebody with the exact same information? And it's simple. It has nothing to do with the technical pieces of the real estate process. It has nothing to do with the buyer's consultation or the listing consultation or your marketing packet or your online presence. It doesn't have to do with any of that. Yes, those things are important, and yeah, they do play a piece of this. But if you don't get the first step of this entire game right, the underlying foundational piece, well, what happens is none of these other things work. I want you to think about a real estate transaction that you've been on that you didn't get. Maybe you went on a listing consultation and the seller chose to hire a different agent. Or maybe you're being interviewed as a buyer's agent, which has been happening a lot. And what you found is that these buyers went with somebody else. And even though you thought that you nailed the entire consultation, that you created this rapport with them, that you had this connection with them, that everything that you laid out, they were nodding their heads and they were buying in the moment. But when it came time for them to make a decision, you let them get away with a maybe. It wasn't even a yes or a no, it was just a maybe, or let us think about it. And you have to start to ask yourself the question, well, why? Why didn't they have the information that they needed to make a decision? Was it simply just something they wanted to talk about? I'll give you that. There's ways to handle that objection and make sure that you understand what they need to talk about. But the reality is It has everything to do with the way that you showed up. I want you to think about this for a moment. There's probably been a time when maybe you've come home after a long days of work and you walk into the home and you see your significant other. And you can tell that he or she is just off. Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe the kids were just being assholes. And so you see them in a place where they're obviously frustrated, they're disconnected, and their energy is all off. I came home from a trip just a couple days ago. And when I walked in, I could see that my wife, she was just completely disconnected from herself. She was shut down, and it was hard for us to relate to one another. It had nothing to do with our marriage and our relationship, but it had everything to do with her just being at home with the kids for a long time. Her also being around, just not being around adults. And so what I found when I was trying to connect with her, it was really hard for her to open up. And so she was shut down, and I could read that energetically, which as a husband, you got to pivot, got to ask different questions. You have to make the space to be able to connect again with your significant other. But in this idea, in this example, I want you to think about that time when you've come home and you've experienced that. And you're not sure if it's something that you did or if it's something that's going on or if there's a larger issue, and you can ask the questions, but you may not get the entire answer. Maybe they're not ready to talk about it. But it's the same energy that you can feel from your significant other that you are putting off towards your clients. You might have nailed the marketing presentation. You might have given them everything that they need, but there's something about you that's off. There's something about your energy. There's something about the way that you speak. There's something about the way that you carry yourself. There's something about you that doesn't allow them to feel the safety, the security, or have the certainty that they need to make a decision to move forward. And when that's absent, like when a client doesn't feel safe and they don't feel certain because they lack clarity, 9 times out of 10, they're never going to make a decision at all. And you see this oftentimes with buyers who fall in love with a home, but then they're like, no, they talk themselves out of it. And then they go and find another home and they're like, I think this is the one. And you're like, what the fuck? This isn't even on your list. Like, none of these things check out. Like, what is this? And so it's the ability for you to create this certainty with them by creating safety and clarity with them. But that all comes from your ability to deliver it to yourself. So when I talk about these tactics of marketing, it's not just about posting on social media or creating a funnel or holding an event. It has nothing to do with those things. Those are the things that you will execute on. But prior to that is the work that you do on yourself. For most agents, and myself included, I did this to begin with as well, we have this idea of what it means to be a real estate agent. I thought when I first got into real estate that I had to fit the part. So what did I do? I went over to Suit Supply and I bought this nice jacket, like a sports coat. Got it fitted, got it tailored, and then I started wearing shirts and ties. I was just trying to fit the part. It's not that I didn't look good. I look great. It's not that that's not even the way I dress. I dress like that sometimes. But just energetically, it wasn't me. I was trying to be somebody I wasn't. There's been plenty of pieces of content that I've put out, trying to emulate and be like somebody else, and those always fall flat. You can copy somebody else verbatim, but energetically, if you're off, what that sends out to the world, what that communicates is something that is incongruent with who you are. And when your clients feel that way, well, they're never going to choose you. So one of the biggest things that you have to understand is that the work that you do behind the scenes prepares you for the work that you do when the game starts. And in real estate, the game is this. It's the phone call when somebody's looking to get pre-approved. The real estate game starts when you get maybe a message of somebody saying, hey, I want to buy a home. Will you help me? The real estate game comes when you're sitting in the middle of a negotiation with an offer that you just got for your seller, and you have to lead them to a decision on whether or not this is a good offer and they should think about it, or if they should counter, and your ability to make the space and create the clarity and the vision on where they want to go. But all of this requires you to have that within yourself. And the biggest hurdle that I see most real estate agents and most mortgage lenders stumble across is this confidence piece. This confidence piece within themselves. They don't see themselves as the guy. They don't see themselves as the girl. They don't see themselves as the one. And in this game, you have to see yourself as the best possible option for your clients. Now, you can call that arrogance, you can call it cockiness, you can call it whatever you want to call it. But the reality is like that's an energy that is attraction. It pulls somebody to you. They feel safe with you. And unless you have that energy around yourself, there's no way that they're going to be able to create it for themselves. Because you set the container and you set the landscape for what that is. So what does this look like practically? There's this piece of the game where you have to develop and create your own confidence and certainty. And it has to be removed from external factors. It can't be attached to your production. It can't be attached to your income. It can't be attached to your marriage. And it can't be attached to your body, the way that you look physically. Now, these things can help with it. These things can amplify it. But there has to be something that's deeper than that. Because if it's dependent on all of these external things, then if we strip away one of those external things, if you lose your money, or maybe you get injured and you gain some weight, or maybe your marriage is, struggling and you're going through fights, which I've been through. If your certainty and confidence comes from that and only that, well, then when we shake the tree and that starts to become a little bit movable and the foundation isn't strong, what happens to you is you fall apart. And so how do you build this certainty that is unshakable and unmovable? I'm here to tell you it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But if I were to have you pause for a moment and just ask yourself the following question: where are you the most confident in your life? Maybe it's you're the most confident in the gym, or as a runner, or as a weightlifter. Maybe you're the most confident in a sport. Maybe that's mountain biking, or dancing, or skiing. Maybe you feel the most confident as a father, or as a mother, or as a husband, or as a wife. Maybe you feel the most confident with your connection to your creator, to God, or to a higher self, or to the universe. Maybe you have this confidence in a different domain, but you lack it in business. I share this with you because at some point in your life, you didn't have that confidence. Like at one point in my life, I was overweight and I just wasn't secure with my body at all. And over the last 15 to 20 years, I've put in the time, I've put in the reps, and I put in the work for me to build what I have now. It doesn't mean that I don't always have confidence, or it doesn't mean I always have confidence in myself, but I know that I have work that nobody can take away from me. There's also been this piece that I've invested in myself through thousands of dollars, probably $30,000 to $40,000 worth of therapy, over $150,000 in coaching, hours and hours and hours of meditation and journaling, all trying to uncover pieces of me so that I can know myself at the deepest level. But one of the greatest tools that I've found to build confidence and certainty in yourself is to go through an exercise where you get to see and stack irrefutable evidence for yourself. And I've talked about this before, but I think it's important. The reason that I was so successful when I first got into real estate was because of all the pre-work that I had done on myself. Energetically, I was in alignment. I knew who I was, I knew what I was capable of, and I had the confidence that I needed. But that came on the backside of 3 to 4 to 5 years of personal development work. Now, you can accelerate this. You can also understand that this is just going to be a part of your path. But the more that you know you and the more that you can accept who you are, is the more that you can step into this conversation and this identity that you are the one. You are the one who's the best option for your clients. You are the one that people need. You are the one that people are waiting for. But in order for you to believe that, you first have to believe in yourself. And so I want to give you this. I want you to do an exercise. I want you to go back from the time that you graduated college. I just want you to list out, what are all of the things that you've accomplished? What are the things that you've had to work through? What are the problems that you've had to overcome? What are the careers that you've had? What are the lessons that you've learned? And when you can look back from the time that you graduated college up until this point, what you will see is a timeline of stories. And those timelines of stories give you certainty that you can do things. That over a long enough time horizon, with a long enough commitment, and this just persistence and perseverance that you have, you can overcome anything. I've overcome a heart attack. I've overcome a PTSD. I've overcome a failing marriage. I've overcome being a kind of a shitty dad when my first son was born and not fully being present. I've overcome all of these things. I've overcome having to build a business from scratch and create new identities multiple times, from the military to personal training to corporate America to real estate, now to coaching. I have irrefutable evidence for myself. And what that allows me to do is look internally to know that I am the guy, that I can do this. I can pull shit off, that when things get chaotic in a real estate transaction, I can be the eye of the storm. When things get hard in the market and maybe not the leads aren't coming in as fast, or the business isn't coming in as fast, or the marketing's not working, I know that I have the perseverance just to keep going, to adapt and move and overcome. And what that allows me to do is continue to show up even when things seem like they're falling apart. Listen, we're going to enter into a potential pit of poverty in real estate. You're already seeing it right now. It's not that there's not transactions going on, but you have some of the lowest inventory, you have raising interest rates, and you have buyers who are having affordability problems, all of which is creating income issues for real estate agents and mortgage lenders. The refi game is gone for you lenders right now. It's just gone. And for a lot of you real estate agents, where there was once a ton of leads, people aren't moving as quickly. It doesn't mean that they're not, but there's just less business. And there's about to be a massive adjustment because of these lawsuits to your commission structures. Doesn't mean that you can't secure a full commission, but if you can't demonstrate this value and this certainty, well, then you're going to have to double your business. And if you have to double your business, there's only a few ways to do it. You can either work twice as hard, which is not going to guarantee you the results, or you can do the internal work on yourself starting now, so that when you do have these opportunities to meet with new clients, instead of getting passed over and having somebody else get hired who you know has half the talent and cares half the amount than you do, you then get to demonstrate your value and have people make a decision right there to hire you. And what this does for you is allows you to build some momentum. Here's the most beautiful thing about this. The moment that you can see this timeline of your own irrefutable evidence, and you can use that and apply it into your business, and you can start to attract clients and close clients and really own your identity, you start to build momentum. And as you build that momentum, what you will see is the farther that you lean in, the more gas that you throw on the fire, the faster you will get results, and they will compound on one another. And that momentum becomes a flywheel that just moves. And before you know it, business is just coming in because you're attracting the clients that you were always meant to attract, because you're beating the drum of the marketing that you're putting out. You're beating the drum and creating a light and a frequency for people to be attracted to you. And then when they are attracted to you, you know how to close them by empowering them with a decision. That creating the conditions for them to have clarity, to have certainty, to have control. And when they have these three things, they're in the place that they can confidently make a decision about you. But this all requires you to be able to own your own personal brand and your identity and start to see yourself as the one. Nothing else about marketing or sales or leadership matters if we can't nail this first identity. And this is some of the hardest work that you'll do. And it's some of the most continuous work that you'll do. This stuff doesn't stop. Because you might master it at the first-time home buyer level, and then it might come up again when it comes to listings. Or maybe you master it at the home buying level and listings, but when you get to a certain price point, maybe $2 million, $1.5 million, you start to get uncomfortable. And so it requires you to unpack, unlearn, observe, and recreate this new identity. And so this work never stops. But if you can commit to this piece of getting to know yourself at the deepest level and creating this certainty, this alignment, this unshakable and unmovable version of you, you'll become an invaluable asset. Listen, there's chaos in the streets of real estate right now. And that's not going to slow down anytime soon. I'm not like a doom and gloom guy. I think the real estate market's going to do just fine. But there's going to be some shakeups to the industry, especially shakeups to the amount of real estate agents and the amount of lenders that are going to be in the game. So you can either become some of the top 5% in the industry. And just so you know, this is the only place where money's at. There's no money at the bottom. There's very, very little in the middle. But if you can be in the top 5%, what you will do for your career, what you will do for your family, what you will do for your own personal wealth, and what you will do for your clients will far exceed anything that you're doing right now. But that requires you to take this identity that you're the guy or that you're the girl, own it, but it all starts with your ability to create irrefutable evidence for yourself. Listen, I'm running small group coaching programs, and this is the work that we do. We work on all of these. We work on the identity of your personal brand so that you can really internalize the fact that you're the one. We get down to how to market so that it's a science, how to sell and seduce and close. More importantly, how to lead. And so if this is something that you're interested in, I want you to go to the website listed below this or the website that's in the description, click on it and watch the video there. And if it makes sense for us to move forward with a conversation, well, then you'll know what to do. You'll fill out the application, we'll go from there. All right, until next time, take care, and don't forget to be the standard.